Every year, usually one franchise is the betting favorite to win the Super Bowl. In 2025, the Eagles, coming off their Super Bowl victory, along with the Ravens, have the best odds at another championship. But what does this actually mean? In this video, we're going to take a look at some data to show us how these preseason favorites have done when the actual season takes place. A casual fan tends to read a headline like this and think that it means it's some sort of upset if they don't win, when in reality, they only have about a 13% chance of winning at all. To give some perspective on this, let's look at the past 10 preseason favorites and see how their seasons went. 2015, the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks were coming off their tragic Super Bowl loss, but they were still seen as the best roster considering the Legion of Boom was mostly still intact, and the offense still had their key pieces, plus the addition of tight end Jimmy Graham. However, their 2015 season was marred by blown games, injuries including Marshawn Lynch, who missed more than half the season, and just overall poor performance. After a rough 4-5 start to the year, they crawled their way out of that and finished 10-6. This saved their season and landed them in the wild card. In the wild card, they escaped with a lucky victory due to the Vikings choking. Then they ran into the freight train known as the Carolina Panthers in the divisional round, and their season came to an end. The Seahawks went down 31-0 in that game and seemed completely unprepared from the start. Kind of like when you start a workout and realize your socks are terrible. Now let's be honest, there's not much worse than when you begin a workout and realize your socks aren't going to hold up. When you're working out, what you're wearing shouldn't distract you, which is where today's video sponsor, Bombas, comes in clutch. I have been using a variety of these different Bombas sports socks for a while now, and I gotta be honest, I think they're my new favorite sock. They're comfortable, lightweight, breathable, and keep my feet secure while I'm wearing them. What's awesome about Bombas Sport is when you're training, they feel like nothing, but deliver everything you need. And they have a sock to pair with any sneaker, any sport, and any sole. Currently, these low ankle black socks are my favorite for running, and the colorful ones are my favorite for lifting. These socks are designed for people who show up, push through, and sweat with intention. These socks match your focus and consistency every step of the way. Bombas is also a really cool brand because with every one purchase, one is donated. And so far, over 150 million items have been donated. Feel good and do good with Bombas, knowing your purchase is doing some real good. And with international shipping, which includes the US and over 200 countries, new customers get 20% off their first purchase. Just go to bombas.com/KTO and use code KTO at checkout. 2016, the New England Patriots. The Patriots are coming off an AFC Championship loss to the Broncos, where Brady got the crap beat out of him. However, with Seattle losing a step, the Panthers expected to be worse, and Peyton Manning retiring, the Patriots remained as the most likely to win it all. Well, things went as expected. Despite Brady missing 4 games due to suspension, he dominated, and so did the Patriots. He had just 2 interceptions that season and was an MVP candidate. And LeGarrette Blount led the league in rushing touchdowns. And they had the #1 defense in the NFL. In the postseason, they blew out the Texans and Steelers and found themselves matched up in Super Bowl 51 versus the Falcons. And things went about as poorly as they could have at the start. But we all know what happened. And this comeback solidified Brady as the GOAT, and the Falcons still haven't recovered. 2017, again, the Patriots. What's kind of funny looking back at 2017 was that the Raiders were tied for the second best Super Bowl odds, and they went 6-10. For the Patriots, they dominated as usual. Their last 12 games, they went 11-1, which included 8 blowout victories. Then in the playoffs, they blew out the Titans, then barely escaped against the Jags. And in Super Bowl 52, they appeared destined to win it all, considering the Eagles had backup Nick Foles starting the game. But despite Brady setting a Super Bowl record throwing for over 500 yards, Nick Foles and the Eagles got the job done. 2018, for the 3rd time in a row, the Patriots were preseason favorites. Once again, they dominated, and they won the AFC East. Except this time around, they didn't clinch home field advantage in the playoffs. However, it didn't matter. In the playoffs, they defeated the Chargers handily in the divisional round, then took the young explosive Chiefs to overtime in Arrowhead. Then in one of the ugliest Super Bowls in recent memory, the Patriots defense crushed Jared Goff and the Rams to claim their 2nd Super Bowl win in 3 years. 2019, how about 4 years in a row for the New England Patriots? In the AFC at this time, there just felt like there wasn't anyone competing with the Patriots outside of the Chiefs. They ended up playing in the wild card, and this time around, they got stunned. The Titans shocked the Patriots on the back of Derrick Henry's 182 yards. and this would be the last game Brady ever played as a Patriot, with his last pass being a pick six. 2020, for the first time in 5 years, somebody else was on top, the Kansas City Chiefs. This was due in large part to them finally winning their first Super Bowl, plus Brady going to the NFC. And what's interesting is you can see how much odds makers really respect Brady because the Bucs shot up to the third best odds in the NFL. Well, for the Chiefs, 2020 was an incredible regular season. Their trio on offense was remarkable, and the defense was a top 10 unit as they finished 14-2, safely locking up the number 1 seed. After surviving a scare versus Cleveland in the divisional round, the Chiefs advanced to the AFC title game for the 3rd time in a row, and they went on to beat the Bills. But in the Super Bowl, Tom Brady found a way to ruin their day once again. 2021, again, the Kansas City Chiefs. The top 2 teams entering 2021 were, unsurprisingly, the 2 Super Bowl teams, with the Chiefs out on top. At first, things were rough. They went 3-4 to start the season, which included 2 blowout losses. However, they won 9 of their last 10 and finished with a 12-5 record. In the wildcard round, they crushed the Steelers. Then in the divisional, we saw that infamous final 2 minutes between them and the Bills, which sent the game to overtime, and the Chiefs scored a touchdown on their opening drive to win. But then in the AFC title game, the Bengals stunned the Chiefs, winning in overtime. 2022. Here's where things take a unique turn. The Buffalo Bills. For the first time in this video, a team who hadn't played recently in a Super Bowl was the betting favorite. The Buffalo Bills had been building themselves into a serious contender with Josh Allen. Many people felt like if they didn't have to deal with the Chiefs all those years, they would have been to a Super Bowl by that point. Well, in 2022, as expected, Josh Allen and the Bills dominated. He was an MVP candidate, and this team won a lot of games on the back of a top 2 offense and top 2 defense. If you remember, this team only played 16 games because of the Damar Hamlin incident. Unfortunately, this may have cost them the number 1 seed, as the Chiefs finished 14-3. The Bills had beaten them in week 6, and if they would have beat the Bengals in that game that didn't count, they would have got the number 1 seed and locked in that bye. However, they did get their rematch versus the Bengals in the second round of the playoffs, and the Bengals beat them. 2023, we're back to the Kansas City Chiefs. By this point, the Chiefs were proving to be a weird team. If they were favored to win it all, they didn't. And if they weren't favored to win it all, they would win it. That's just how things were at the time. Except that would change in 2023. The regular season was a little rough, but they still did win 11 games. In the wildcard round, they routed the Dolphins, then bested the Bills once again. Then their defense held strong against Baltimore, and then in the Super Bowl once again against the Niners, they won. What's kind of interesting is, despite being the betting favorites before the season began, in the playoffs they were underdogs in those final 3 games. Yet, they won all 3. 2024. Again, the Chiefs. With a similar dynamic to 2023, the Chiefs relied on their defense in 2024. Despite a mediocre offense, they just found a way to keep winning games. That, along with a little extra help. They finished the regular season with 15 wins. And what's interesting is they didn't feel like a typical 15-win team. They weren't even as dominant as their 11-win season, as they had a worse point differential in 2024 than 2023. Well, in the playoffs, they rolled the Texans. Then, they played the Bills again, and they beat them again. This meant that the Chiefs had a shot to three-peat, but the Eagles absolutely crushed them. So that brings us to today, but let's take a deeper dive into some more numbers. Since 1995, we have had 30 NFL seasons. This means we have had 30 preseason favorites. Well, technically 32 because of a 3-way tie in 2005. But anyways, 28 of the 32 made the playoffs. Of the 4 that didn't, almost all of them dealt with serious injuries to key players. Of those 28 playoff teams, 5 lost in the wild card, 8 lost in the divisional round, and for the 15 that reached conference championship weekend, all of them advanced to the Super Bowl, except one, the 2021 Chiefs. So, 14 of the 32 teams reached the Super Bowl, and 4 of them won it all, which gave them a 4-10 record in the big game. Let me make a few more interesting points to go along with this data. So generally, you can pretty much guarantee that the preseason favorite will make the playoffs. In fact, the last 16 have all made the playoffs. Another thing to notice here is that about 13% of the betting favorites ended up winning it all, which is about actually what you'd expect. And what's kind of interesting is there's a handful of plays that really could have swung this number. From Vinatieri's game-winning kick, to Seattle throwing the ball, to the helmet catch, and a Gronk just barely missing out on that Hail Mary. Also, it's kind of funny that 3 of the 5 teams to win multiple Super Bowls, the Ravens, Steelers, and Giants, all were never favored a single time in these 30 years. Okay, now for the final section in this video, I want to do one more data deep dive. I've gathered every Super Bowl champion since 1995 and what they were ranked going into the season according to preseason Super Bowl odds. Let's put up the data in 5-year increments so it's not too overwhelming all at once. From 1995 to 1999, the most shocking champion in my lifetime was the '99 Rams. They were not only expected to be terrible, but they also had to play the season with their backup quarterback. It's the greatest one-year turnaround I've ever covered. From 2000 to 2004, again, we had another shocking champion with the '01 Patriots, who, like the '99 Rams, had to play with their backup, unproven quarterback. It almost seemed like divine intervention that the team they beat in the Super Bowl was the Rams. From 2002 to 2006, we finally saw the first preseason favorite during these years win it all. Crazy how 4 teams ranked 10th or worse won it all before the #1 team did. From 2007 to 2011, there was a lot of dark horse champions that took the cake, including the underdog Giants twice. And amazingly, the Giants beat the preseason favorited Patriots both times. From 2012 to 2016, a second preseason favorite got the job done with the Patriots in 2016. It's kind of funny how the Broncos and Seahawks basically flip-flopped. The Broncos were favored to win it all in 2013, and the Seahawks won it all. Then in 2015, the Seahawks were favored and the Broncos won it all. From 2017 to 2021, the most surprising champion since 2007 happened, with the Nick Foles-led Eagles in 2017. Then finally, from 2022 to 2024, the Chiefs became the 4th favorite to get the job done. Overall, here's a couple things that I noticed. 1999 to 2001 is easily the craziest 3-year stretch in terms of who won it all. You had 2 backup quarterbacks who led teams who were supposed to be terrible, and the Ravens quarterback, Trent Dilfer, wasn't even on the team the following year. Also, after 2012, outside of the Foles-led Eagles, champions haven't been all that shocking. Each of them have been a top 6 team or better. Now, for fun to end the video, I decided to look at how every team with the worst odds in the NFL performed. This is mostly because the 2025 Browns are supposed to be terrible, and I'm looking for any hope I can find. However, things don't look too good. Only one team in this last 30 years has made the playoffs, the 2008 Falcons. Now, the Browns in 2007 did have an awesome season, but unfortunately they didn't make the playoffs. For 2025, it's very reasonable to say that the champion will either beat the Eagles, Ravens, Bills, Chiefs, or Lions, and the teams at the bottom, the Saints, Titans, Jets, Giants, and Browns, will not make the playoffs. However, in the optimistic spirit of, delusion, at least until reality sets in, I'm gonna go with the narrative that the Browns this year can conjure up the spirit of the '99 Rams and '01 Patriots, or at the very least the 2007 Browns. Shadur, hopefully you get in there so we can see what you got.
Picked up.